Hi everyone, this is Abhinav from PhoneBunch and welcome to our full review of the YU Yunique. This is the third device from YU Televentures after the Eureka and Euphoria, and with every release it seems that YU is actually moving towards the budget segment. This one is priced at just Rs 5000. It comes with a Snapdragon 410 quad-core processor, 4G LTE support, 1GB of RAM, 8GB of internal storage with 4.7-inch HD display. Now let's start with the build. So moving to the right of the device, you have the power lock and unlock button in middle, flanked by both the volume keys. They are slightly sharp towards the end, but most of you won't even notice that. Now at the top you have the 3.5 audio jack. There's nothing on the left. At the bottom you have the micro USB data syncing and charging port. The microphone is actually located in the front. The design is actually pretty similar to the Euphoria. You have that Saturn ring-like structure at the back with the 8-megapixel camera. You have a LED flash right there as well. Now the camera module is a bit flush with the back cover, so it actually might get scratched if the phone is put flat on its back. And this is a symmetrical design that we have already seen with the Euphoria. You can see that speakerphone at the bottom as well, which really isn't that loud. Now let me just open up this back cover. There isn't a space to open that up. You just need to put your fingernails in and drag it open. Now the back cover in itself isn't that sturdy, but it doesn't bend or flex when on the phone. It has sort of a matte rubberized finish. It feels good to hold in the hand. You have two separate SIM card slots and a micro SD card slot to expand storage, and a 2000 mAh non-removable battery. Overall construction is decent. There is no bend or flex anywhere, no creaking either. Moreover, given that this device has a 4.7-inch display, it easily fits in one hand. You have a 2-megapixel camera up front. You have a notification LED embedded within the earpiece. I don't know whether you can see that, it's glowing green at the moment. You also have proximity and light sensors, both of which do work fine. And you have on-screen buttons here on the 4.7-inch IPS display, which is clad in Corning Gorilla Glass 3. This is a pretty sharp display given the 4.7-inch size, 312 pixels per inch. Text looks very crisp over here. The viewing angles are decent, but I do see a bit of color shifting here. But in general you won't notice that much. Touch response is pretty good. I haven't noticed any issue with that either. Now throughout our usage, network reception wasn't an issue. We used Airtel's 4G SIM in Delhi. Call quality was also good. You do have call recording built in. The earpiece is decently loud for voice calls, although the speakerphone is a bit on the tinny side. You do have Wi-Fi hotspot, Bluetooth as well as USB tethering available, but this phone is a bit slow in navigation. Now you have a 8-megapixel camera here at the back, 2-megapixel front-facing camera. The rear camera does have issues with autofocusing. Most of the time with macro shots, it isn't able to capture focus. There are several modes available which do help with the overall look of the image. You have HDR mode. There are some effects built in as well which directly apply to the viewfinder. The camera interface is pretty robust, it's quite fast, doesn't lag. There are lots of options including zero shutter delay, you have ISO control, you have exposure control. The front facing camera is just about decent, but it's not as good as the Redmi 2. Now here are some of the samples we took with this camera. Now you can see here the color reproduction is quite alright. Images have a bit of sharpness to them as well, but they are over sharpened, and you can see that here as well. They are a bit over processed, but color reproduction seems to be pretty decent over here. You can see these 100% crop shots as well. Quite a lot of detail, but with a little bit of noise. That shows that it has been over processed. Now as I was saying, this camera does have issues with autofocus. Even with tap to focus, sometimes you really can't get the shot that you want. You have to really work hard, get your hand steady, and only then focusing works with macro shots. Distance shots do work out much better. They are in focus, but this camera also has a bit of an issue with exposure control. You can see this image, it's actually quite over processed. And then there's the HDR mode, which makes images look a bit purplish and a lot more darker than they actually are. The opposite of what HDR images are supposed to do. Indoor shots do turn out well if you have good amount of lighting inside, but as soon as you move outside where there's not enough light, you'll see a lot of noise creep in. The flash is helpful over short distances. You can see that here as well, but it does tend to overexpose images a little bit. There's a lot of noise in low light imaging. The HDR mode just makes everything look as if they were filled with watercolors. The flash over larger distances is really not that useful. Now this is a 1080p video sample. Have a listen to the audio as well. Hi everyone, this is Abhinav from PhoneBunch, and right now we are recording a video sample. You have continuous autofocus available as well. Now image quality here is definitely not as good as the Redmi 2, nor is the color saturation levels. And then you have the issues with autofocusing, although that can be fixed with OTA update. So overall cameras are just about decent on the YU Yunique. Now coming to music playback, you get these headsets within the box. These do look quite nice, but they are absolutely atrocious. If you want to listen to music, I'll say that you should get your own pair. These are alright though if you just use them for talking to somebody. The only major issue I have with music playback is that the speakerphone here is really not that loud. Moreover, it gets muffled very easily. Just by holding your phone normally, it gets muffled. You do have an equalizer built in, but it doesn't add any major change in sound quality or clarity. FM radio is also supported. You don't have FM recording available here though. Now the audio quality through the headphone jack is actually pretty decent. It is quite loud too. We are playing a 1080p video right now, and video playback is again quite smooth. That's what we have seen with all Snapdragon 410 bearing devices. Now we are playing a YouTube video. It's a full review of the Samsung Galaxy J7. And at 720p it does play quite fine. No lag there. Now the Yunique comes with Android 5.1.1 Lollipop right out of the box. There is almost zero bloatware on this device, which is very good to see. It's an almost stock experience. You can add widgets to home screens. You have your quick toggles right up top. You have your priority interruptions mode. You have screen pinning available as well. And this one can be upgraded to Cyanogen OS later on, but we don't have a timeline on that. When you get the device, you have about 4 odd gigs of storage available. You can expand that with a micro SD card. Apps are movable to the external SD card, although app data can't be moved. Moreover, USB OTG is also supported, and we are playing a 720p video. Now if you haven't watched our gaming review, we pointed out an issue with this device, a feature rather, as you would like to call it. When you start playing any game, you can't increase or decrease the brightness. The brightness remains constant. It's actually reduced to prevent overheating on the device. You can see the brightness just jumped up when we came out of the game and again reduced. So it actually doesn't get heated up, but I would like this to be an option rather than a norm on this device. Performance is good most of the time, but sometimes apps begin to lag and stutter, and they take quite a long time to start up. Games also take a little bit longer to load than what I have seen with the Xiaomi Redmi 2. But web browsing is actually pretty smooth. Pinch to zoom also works out great. Even in general usage, touch response is pretty good on this display. Now multitasking is a bit slow on this device. You will see that while switching between apps, it does take a little bit of time. You can see that here as well. Camera does take some time to open up. But if I switch back to Chrome, you will see that it has still been kept in memory. So garbage collection is pretty decent, but yes, sometimes this phone does begin to bog down. Now when we were actually playing games on this device, we found that it is a bit throttled. You can see that in Asphalt 8 when we are trying to play the game in high settings, there was quite a bit of lag and frame drop there. But in general, gameplay was pretty decent on this device. You have to factor in the price here. Now if we talk about battery life, I was able to get more than 3 odd hours of screen on time with this one, which is pretty decent for a device within this price bracket. And it is actually quite close to what we got with the Redmi 2 as well. Overall, the YU Yunique has good build quality. It feels good to hold in the hand. Performance is just about alright. You have to factor in the price point here. This phone costs just 5,000 bucks. It comes with 4G LTE support, a 4.7-inch HD IPS display, Corning Gorilla Glass protection, good build quality, decent battery life as well. So for Rs 5,000 you are getting a lot of bang for your buck. Given that at this price point you have the Moto E and the Canvas Spark available, which are easily beaten by the YU Yunique in terms of display, 4G connectivity and to an extent performance as well. But the Xiaomi Redmi 2 is still one of the preferred options in the budget segment. So folks, that was a full review of the YU Yunique. Do tell us what you liked or disliked about this device. We'll be back with more. Thanks for watching the video, and as always, have a great day.